Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going into some Best of One Standard with a brand new deck. I'm sure most of you have seen something similar to this in the past. It's going to be an Ilhag the Boar deck. This is kind of like Gruul aggro with a little bit of mid-rangey, big top-end thick boy action in it. So there's a lot of things that you've seen many times before. So like as far as the Gruul aggro side of things are concerned, we got like our Domri's Ambush as our fight spells, Gruul Spellbreaker, just a solid 3 mana play as well, can come in as a 4/4 or a 3/3 with haste and trample, which is pretty sweet. Domri Anak of Bolas is another one of those where it kind of merges between the aggro and ramp package as well. So a 3 mana 3 loyalty planeswalker. In the sense of the aggro, it gives us creatures we control +1/+0. We can use the minus to fight a creature to get it out of the way. And then for the ramp, we have the +1, which is red or green to be added to our mana pool, and says that creature spells we cast this turn cannot be countered, which is also pretty tasty. Where the ramp side of things come in is going to be our package of 4 Gilded Goose and 4 Paradise Druid, both of which produce both red and green mana and get us some really early, big, thick plays. So if we've got some like Dracosseths and Ravager Worms and things like that stuck in our hand, we want to be ramping into Ilhag the Boar, the card that we're building around today. A 5 mana 6/6 trample Boar God. When it attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. Return that creature to your hand at the beginning of the next end step, and then when it dies or is put into exile from the battlefield, you may put it into your library third from the top, which basically means it's a threat that is not going away. We only really want one though, so I'm not running the full 4 play set, even though it's kind of the build around card. I just don't want to see multiples of this card ever, so we're running 3 copies of it. We can get around not having this card just by having that rampy mid-rangey package anyway, so not too bad. So what are we going to be putting into play with Ilhag? Well, we've got some pretty common things that you Ilhag in, one of those being something like God Eternal Ronus, which is the other god. 5 mana for a 5/5 Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, double the power of each other creature you control. Those creatures gain Vigilance until the end of the turn. If we're going to be Ilhagging this into play, the Vigilance doesn't actually really matter, but the doubling of power certainly does. If we double the power of Ilhag, Ilhag is a 5 mana 12/6 with Trample. So it does an absurd amount of damage, kind of forced to be blocked. An opponent's not going to get some good blocks out of this if we are attacking with Ilhag. We're going to be attacking with confidence that it's going to be a good attack. We also have things like the Spellbreaker, which has that trample we mentioned, which again makes this attack for 6 or even 8 if we put the counter on it. So God Eternal Ronus is one of those things that we want to repeatedly use the ETB of, so really good with an Ilhag. I don't have extra copies of God Eternal Ronus, so if you're wondering where some of the numbers on these cards come in, it's mostly because I do not have extra copies of certain things. So I only have 1 Ronus for brawl purposes, and I think Ravager Worms is another thing that I'd like, which I don't have extras of. So if you're wondering, that's why the numbers are the way that they are. They seem to be working just fine though, so honestly I'm almost inclined to say don't change them, but I don't know. Dracosseth's kind of the weak spot of the deck as far as Ilhagging's concerned. I think I would cut the 2 Dracosseth to maybe try 2 Ronus, 3 Ravager Worm. We've gone through why Ronus is good, so let's go through why Ravager Worm is good. It's a 6 mana 4/5 with Riot, so similar to Spellbreaker, we can have it enter either with haste or with a counter. If we have Ilhag make it enter, we always want that counter, so it enters as a 5/6. And when it enters the battlefield, you get to choose up to one of these abilities. Ravager Worm fights target creature you don't control, so whenever Ilhag enters the battle or attacks, we get to kill a creature. So it's like Domri's ambushing every single turn, that kind of thing. So Ravager Worm kills any 5 toughness creature as Ilhag attacks, and gets to swing in for a tasty chunk of 5 on the Ravager Worm and 6 trample on the Ilhag. It's really disgusting. Obviously goes back to hand to be reused. Second ability allows you to destroy a land with an activated ability that isn't a mana ability. So I believe the castles are susceptible to this, as is Blast Zone. None of those really do too much though, as far as stopping our deck is concerned, but you never know. If you got nothing to attack, then definitely killing a land with an activated ability that isn't a mana ability is certainly something that you might want to do. But yeah, the Drakoseth Mortar Flames, I guess, is the weak spot of the deck where you would want probably 2 Ronus and an extra Ravager Worm, because this one doesn't actually really do anything when it attacks off of an Ilhag. This is when it attacks on its lonesome. It gets to deal 4 damage to any target, 3 damage to up to each of 2 other targets as well. So it does get to spread around a lot of damage. The problem is when Ilhag attacks, that's attacks being declared, so triggers off of the Drakoseth just do not happen, and the 3 red is a little bit costly, unfortunately for us. Since we're running Nissa Who Shakes the World, we want a skewed green package. Honestly, I want more green cards, and Drakoseth's just not really one of them, so I would say probably try running Ronus as an extra copy and Ravager Worm as an extra copy over Drakoseth. I think the big boy count is where it wants to be, it's just not necessarily Drakoseth wants to be one of them. But yeah, in the top end, we got the Great Henge, which is 7 and 2 green. The spell costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So Ilhag, the build around card, is going to reduce that by 6. If you get to put any creature into play with Ilhag, or any creature that's bigger, like a Drakoseth, then you get that extra 1 cost reduction. But Ilhag just makes the Great Henge cost 3, which is pretty sick, since the immediate effect of this one is add 2 mana and gain 1 life. So it's basically a 1 mana repeatable card advantage monster if you can get it going. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you get to put a 1/1 counter on it and draw a card. So again, Ilhag making creatures enter the battlefield adds an additional counter from the Great Henge, also allows us to draw a card every time Ilhag attacks. So there is a lot of combo synergy in this deck for sure. It's a lot of fun to pilot. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. The mana base kind of speaks for itself. As I mentioned, we want to skew into the forests a little bit more since we have Nissa Who Shakes the World, who doubles the amount of mana forests generate. Luckily for us, Stomping Ground is a mountain forest, which means this can add green and red off of 1 tap. So something like untapped Stomping Ground, Domri's Ambush is an option, so we can get rid of a 4/4 that way. It's a really nice combo in that sense. The -8 allows you to pull all forests out of your library and put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library, and lands you control become indestructible. So any land creatures we've got are going to stick around for the rest of the game. And we also thin our deck like crazy, which is great for the Great Henge and for chaining spells together, since you're less likely to hit land drops. We've got 3 Rugged Highlands and 8 Mountains, all of which do not benefit from the Nissa Who Shakes the World and cannot be pulled by a -8. So there is a reasonable amount of lands there. It's 25 in total, and, 11 of them can't be pulled by Nissa or generate mana by Nissa, but that's totally fine. It comes with the territory. I don't think running Fable Passage is a good idea, since we have the turn 1 Gilded Goose and Paradise Druids. We really can't afford to have tap lands early on in the game. He says running Ragged Highlands, but that's basically just to have that extra bit of red mana. We just kind of really need that, and I don't think running extra mountains is really going to do us that much of good anyway. So yeah, that's essentially the deck. If you do enjoy this one, then make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. If you're running a deck similar to this, let me know how you are running it. I'm quite curious to see what you got in mind. But other than that, let's get into some gameplay. I hope you enjoy. Alrighty then, we are in. We've got a turn 2 Domri with a Domri's Ambush, so we can kill enemy Gilded Geese with our Gilded Goose. It's not a great hand, but I'm going to keep it. The last one wasn't great and we ruffle stomp, so high hopes. Witching Well. Well, there's no meta deck with a Witching Well in it, so this is probably going to be a homebrew artifact-based jank, if I had to guess. Another Domri's Anak of Bolas is not ideal. I think it goes without saying. Question is, do we use... Ugh. Do we use the food to play the Domri Anak of Bolas? I think we do. I think 3 in hand's also not ideal. It's not ideal hands getting more and more not ideal. Because I think the likelihood is that we just take the turn next turn anyway to make a food with Gilded Goose. Gruul Spellbreaker. Well, that's a great card to be throwing in at my opponent's face. So maybe I just go for that. Let's go reds. I think this thing cannot block. Unless you have 4 or more cards in hand. Actually, it can block. So I think I might just go for the counter here. We'll start swinging in with it next turn. Our opponent's not really pressuring us. We've got an uncounterable spell here. Let's see if they noticed. Looks like they haven't. Oh, no. They're hovering it. Why is it glowing, opponent? Alright, well, they get the mill 3 on their counter spell anyway. So it is what it is. They have to kill it on their turn as well. So, can't block unless you have 4 or more cards in hand. Now they have 3, which means I can get in for 1. And they mill me for 1, putting a land in the trash, which is fine. Not ideal, just fine. Motherfucker, Secret Keeper. Lost a Great Henge and a Ravager Worm. I would have liked those. There was a Nissa in there as well. And yeah, now they get to start killing Domries. I'd love an untapped land. That's what I need here. Untapped land allows me to go Domri into Domri's ambush. Tap land doesn't, though. Tap land doesn't. Alright, well, we have to get rid of this Vantress Gargoyle, otherwise nothing we do is really gonna really matter. So, let's go boop, boop. It's not fight, so our Spellbreaker lives on. And it has Trample as well, so we can run through a point of damage against this Merfolk's Secret Keeper, which isn't the worst thing in the world. I'd love to be hard casting my Drakaseth in no time at all. Let's see what we've milled so far, because we have lost some good stuff. A lot of Mana Dorks, few dual lands, Nissas, not great for us, and Ravager Worm I would have liked as well. This can actually fight the Gargoyle just fine. Alright, well, could get Thought Collapsed. We're not really going to play around it. Yeah. There's a Ronus and an Ambush. Alright, well, there's 5 damage. Okay. I'm guessing that the lack of double black on their part is really hurting them here. We're going to go with Domri here, since we can use the red to stomp. Again, if they Thought Collapse, so be it. But they're going to crack a Witching Well to draw some cards instead. And that'll do it. Yeah, that was 7 damage from the Stomp and the Domri. Actually, we're getting the +1/+0 as well, so it's an extra point on top of all of our creatures. Our Gilded Goose, which can't otherwise do anything, also has a point on it. So yeah, we're really we're in a dominating position that they basically need like a Ritual of Soot just to even remotely survive. So pretty good. Pretty good. Alrighty then, we're in, and we've got a pretty gruel aggro-y hand, so I think we're just going to keep this one. We got turn 2 Paradise Druid or Stomp, depending on what our opponent does. We might want to stomp a Gilded Goose or something like that. Integral Spellbreaker, hoping to find a mana source of some sort. Domriana Cabolus or a Nissa, all of those would be just fine. Alright, so let's just go Mountain Paradise Druid. Esper maybe? Could be Control, could be Doom Foretold. We got Gilded Goose. Okay, so against the blue-white deck, I guess I'm going for Hasty Spellbreaker into Gilded Goose. So 3 damage to them. Gilded Goose. I want to really amplify my damage over a short period of time just to try and get around board wipes. This is fine if it hits Spellbreaker, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, now we can get in for 2 points on the Paradise Druid here. Can play Gilded Goose, which sets up the Drakaseth. This is probably going to be a 3 fairy matchup, which makes Drakaseth not that great, but it's Smothering Tithe. Oh, well. It's going to be like an emergency powers deck. I'm really happy that our opponents are playing jank today. Not because my deck is bad, but because I'm so tired of the meta decks. It's unbelievable. He says playing basically an offshoot of a meta deck. Can't really help that sometimes, you know. I'm going to decline. You can have a token. I'm pretty sure this is just dirty enough as it is. Get in with the mountain. And I'm going to play Bone Crusher Giant here, I think. My thought process is if they got the cast down or cast off for the kill on non-giants, then at least I get to keep something around, which is 7 points of damage. But I use my 2 tokens. Yeah, I think it's fine. I don't think Drakoseth is really all that great, to be honest. Bit of a last-minute addition that I'm questioning. So we have a little bit of board wipe protection. Teferi Time Raveler, okay. That's totally fine. That gives us lethal. Now it doesn't. Okay. Prison Realm on Nissa. Huh. Yeah, you can have a token. Decline. I guess we're going for Nissa, who shakes the world again. I should attack for 3 first, though. If I'm going to do that. I guess. And then untap Stomping Ground and then kill Teferi. So 3 there. Nissa, who shakes the world. Untap Stomping Ground. And then, before our opponent untaps, kill Teferi. I'm going to be able to kill my opponent without that stomp. Presumably. So, I shouldn't have to worry too much. Board wipes still suck big time, but we'll see. We will see. They're not the planar cleansing type, which would be fine for me anyway, because it's destroy all non-land permanents. I get to keep my 6 damage. Yeah, I think it was a bit too much pressure for our opponent there, which bodes well for me. All right, I think we're 3-0 now, which is pretty sweet. Okay, we're in. Ooh, Great Henge. I love this card. It's just amazing. For no other reason than I like drawing cards and gaining life. It's just the best feeling in the world. I'm going to keep this hand since we have the turn 1 Gilded Goose. And hopefully we can do a Great Henge. That'd be lovely. Swamp and Gutter Bones. Okay. So, I don't really want to use the Gilded Goose mana here to do anything, and playing another green source isn't going to help me, so I'm just going to take the turn to Rugged Highlands and pass the turn. If we need to Bone Crusher Giant, then we'll absolutely do that. If they play something like Priest of the Forgotten Gods, we don't want that around, really. But this doesn't look like the kind of deck where they can deal with Great Henge short of Drill Bit, I guess. Which now is Spectacle enabled. Oh my god! Oh my god, I'm so good at actually calling my demise. Yeah, if any of you ever call me bad at Magic the Gathering, just know that my skills lie in other areas. That's all you need to know. I'm just good in other ways. Losing, mostly. I'm very good at that. And deciding my fate. Jesus Christ. Okay. Who plays Drill Bit? I was literally going, this is an off-meta kind of situation that could really bite me in the ass. Okay, I'm just going to play down Bone Crusher Giant because it's got that 4 cost reduction. Also, it hurts our opponent to even touch it. And potentially we can Great Henge next turn, which would be lovely. So if we could do like Great Henge, play a Forest, we've got 2 mana where we can draw Gilded Goose or Paradise Druid. Our opponent looks to be mana screwed here, so they're not going to be attacking since there's no reason for them to do that. Ilhag is great with the Great Henge. We do need the double red, but this is fine. Now we got a useless Gilded Goose, which we can sacrifice to Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Mono Black cannot deal with this, so they need to splash for white or something like that. Typically, though, it's only going to be white if it's Mardu, and that's a whole new level of mana screw at that point. So I guess, yeah, they're cracking their gutter bones, which is fine. We'll get rid of Gilded Goose. Any playable creature here would be nice, because it's just going to be a redraw, which is lovely. And that's our opponent's turn, I'm assuming. So on their end step, we're going to crack this, because we get the 2 life. Ha! Good stuff. Alright, well, let's play a Forest. Discard into hand size is just fine. Yeah, not discarding into hand size, sorry, just discarding in general, since we got the spare Ilhag here. We got a lot of good draws we can top deck. We'll have to see if we can find them. Yarok's Fenlurker on Ilhag is fine. It doesn't look like they're going to Priest of the Forgotten Gods, but I suppose you never really know. You can get him for 3 if they want. I'll get him for 4 if they do. Alright, crack the Great Henge. There we go. That's a good one. Alright, so Gilded Goose. Just a redraw. Puts a counter on the Gilded Goose. It's mana later potentially as well, which we can use to cast the Ilhag. We draw a land. Fantastic. Well, for that reason, I'm going to keep the Forest in hand, since we can potentially use the Gilded Goose to play Ilhag, who can trigger the Great Henge whenever he puts something into play as well, which is nice. But we'll have to see if that will actually happen. I will let you deal 3 to me, because if we trade off Bone Crusher Giant here, not only do they draw, but then it opens Priest to kill my Gilded Goose, which I actually need to hang around. So honestly, if we get Priest triggering here, I'm going to crack the Bone Crusher Giant. Just for the potential for that Ilhag. I want it down, and I want it now. So, cat combo enabled, but we're at 19, so it really doesn't matter all that much. Yeah, they've got their combo going, which actually probably just means we lose the game. I don't know if we can really do enough here. We really need something to either fight Priest of the Forgotten Gods, Domri's Ambush, or Ravager Worm. We need some good now. And Fenlurker for my Forest. Sure. This is going really well, guys. This is fantastic. Alright, playables. Okay, that's not bad. Kill Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Stop that sacrificing nonsense. And then we'll play Bone Crusher Giant off the Gilded Goose. No, we won't, because I'm actually a moron. Kind of had to get rid of it anyway, so it is what it is. Alright, pass. Cat combo. I always forget about Witch's Oven. I just assume it says sacrifice target Cauldron Familiar you control. That's all it really does at the end of the day. Alright, so do I block? They can make a Yarok's Fenlurker a little bit bigger. I'm going to block the Cauldron Familiar. They're going to sack it anyway. And they're going to pump around my Gilded Goose with the Fenlurker, so just save them the effort and get the job done for them. Come on. Good cards. I'm getting 2 a turn, so Some of this isn't too bad for us. We have so many bad draws now, it's unbelievable. And here comes cat combo. It's not even the one in their graveyard, so double triggers. Yeah, let's just create a food token. And sack a food token, since we've only got one goose. Might as well just be mana efficient and get that done now. Come on, we can chain together creatures here, I believe. That's a start of a good chain, potentially. Paradise Druid. Draw a card, put a counter on it. Chain over. Alright. We're not as reliant on our Gilded Goose. I guess. Silver Lining. Drainers 2. And we got a good blocker now as well. So we're happy to trade off with Midnight Reaper. For whatever that's worth. Another Witch's Oven. Yeah, this is a lot of damage. So, yeah, alright. Well, Paradise Druid, block Midnight Reaper. Crack it for food, or they can just trade. Fine with both of those situations. I don't even know if I were them, if I would actually even attack him with the Midnight Reaper, since... Well, never mind. I absolutely would attack him with the Midnight Reaper. Knowing that I just had one in hand anyway. Alright, create a food token. Sack a food token. Try and chain again. Again, we do have quite a few really bad draws here. But I have faith that I'm not going to draw them. Alright, Ravager Worm. That's a good one. This one doesn't go into my graveyard where I make a colossal error. I guess attacking really doesn't make too much of a difference, but neither does the extra power. I'm just going to give it haste. Great Henge gives it an extra counter anyway. I'm just going to have it fight. Whatever I have it fight is going to die, so let's just get a Midnight Reaper out of here. It's going to die to either AR or the Witch's Oven, so I'm just going to get it done. I draw my card, they do their thing regardless. We've got 3 mana to work with, which gets us a land and ends our combo. Alright. So, how do we beat this? I need, like, Drakaseth to come down with haste, which isn't a thing. I need something, though. I really do. So, the swing doesn't really matter. They're just going to block with a Cauldron Familiar. I'll just use it to block on their attack. And this is a reason why I just don't think we stand a chance in hell here. Because they have this established combo. Which, if I kill AR to stop some of the drain, then the Midnight Reaper just draws them into the combo again. So I just need to get rid of the card advantage. And just hope that this is as good as it gets for them. And hope that I can do something. So I gain 2 alive a turn, which undoes one of the Cauldron Familiars. That's good, right? It isn't. Not at this rate, it isn't. Alright, Castle Lochthwain, Glorified Swamp. Ugh. Yep, block, block. That's what I'm gonna do. Might as well not waste my time. Okay, create a food token. Another Ravager Worm. Alright, this one goes on Ayara. And we get rid of that, presumably. They've obviously got things like destroy creature effects, so we'll see. Again, I'm just going to haste in because we get the great henge value. I'm going to fight Ayara. I'm going to draw a card, hopefully, that's useful. Nope. Alright, Ayara gets one last Cauldron Familiar hit in. Sack Witch's Oven to the Cauldron Familiar. Okay, you're gonna Sack your Ayara. I'm gonna get drain value in, okay. Makes sense. Before she goes, you want to get the most damage in. I understand this line of play. And then you can bring Kitty back. Does mean that they can't make food off of anything that they block with here, though. So we're getting in. I'm going to keep Gilded Goose back to just keep making food to undo some of this drain. And take 10. They'd probably just do that happily, honestly. At 30 life is really no issue there. Yeah. I'm going to gain 3 life off the food. I'm going to make another food. So really, we're gaining like 5 life a turn. It's not bad. Yep, I'll just happily take this. They can pump, for sure. I just don't want to lose my food maker just unnecessarily. Alright, well, there's Ayara. Let's just crack a food now. Let's get that over with. Okay, drain for 1. Off the gutter bones. Yep. If I come back and win this, I would be actually terribly surprised. I don't know if it's going to happen. Domri's ambush on AR is a good way to get back into this game, I think. Huh. That isn't, though. Alright, well, Fen Lurkers, be aware. Let's get in with at least 1. They can sack Cauldron Familiar to the Ravager Worm. Gutter Bones to make the other cat come back. Yeah, let's just get in. Let's do it. I've got a lot of life I can make this turn. So yeah, it's going to be a sack. We're getting them for 5 though. They can kill their Gutter Bones to bring back another cat. It's not as if their Gutter Bones is gone forever at that stage. Alright. Very close. I'm just gonna gain some life now. Save me the effort later. Okay. Take him to 21. Come on. So Fenlurker, Gutter Bones. Gutter Bones is getting blocked. Happy to do that. So we block here. Yeah, because I'm pretty convinced that's exactly what's going to happen there. They can do some Fenlurker pumping if they really want to. They are not. So we've got 6 life here, virtually. That's a drain for 1 for 3 mana. Good game, you say? Not yet, it isn't. In fact, the quality of the good game went down the moment you said good game. That's how that works. It actually becomes a pretty crappy game as soon as you decide that it's a good game for me. Alright. Because I've got draws. You have got a very good combo here that's working very efficiently. But the good game's usually determined by the loser as far as I'm concerned. So we're at 5. If the loser thinks it's a good game, then it was a good game. We drew a land. I don't know if this is a good game. I do not know if this was worth my time. Alright, let's pass. I think they've got enough drain triggers alone here that this game is over. In fact, let's just crack this food token now. Up to 10. Down to 8. I'm pretty sure they've got everything they need here to win. We've got another food token for another 3 life as well. But I don't know if we can survive the full turn, especially with some attacks here going around my blockers. Is Priest doing some pre-combat shenanigans? It is. God, I do really like the life gain on the Gilded Goose, so I think I actually don't want to lose it. I think we're going with the Ravager Worm. Leaves me with a good blocker. They can bring their Gutter Bones back. Orzhov Enforcer, sure. Drain 1. Yeah, they got enough to kill me here. Let's just make a food token. I know they can attack in, but I don't care. I just want to be tapped out so they can do whatever they want to do. Because we will play it out. Midnight Reaper, everything that dies draws a card. Which means they've got to draw 3 already. I just don't think our top decks were particularly good. I think every time that we had a chance to chain off creature into creature, we just hit lands. And that's just really not what we want to be doing. We are running 25 to make sure that we can get to this top end stuff, of course. So it is inevitable that we are going to flood from one game to another. But I don't know if it would have been too much to ask to see a few more Bone Crusher Giants or chain Gilded Geese and Paradise Druid into each other. So we had lots and lots of attackers to threaten our opponent. We could have Domri's ambushed, or just Domriana Bolas, these ARs and Midnight Reapers a lot earlier, potentially. We just never got that opportunity. So, you know. Bit of a product of, I guess, a bad matchup, some bad draws. Maybe a punt sprinkled in there, who knows. But, meh. It was an alright game. I won't say it wasn't. It was a bad game. It was good-ish game, but there isn't an emote for that, so I'm not going to use it. Alright, let's go for one more. Okay, we got Rugged Highlands, which is a slow-ass land for this situation, but I think the 2 Mana Dorks and the potential for Nissa or Ravager Worm a lot earlier than it usually would be. I think I'm going to keep this hand. We'll just go turn 2 Paradise Druid and hope that the Gilded Goose can do something later. We could do maybe Gilded Goose, Bone Crusher Giant or something like that if we get our 3rd land. I'd be okay with that. So, yeah, it sounds fine. A bit slow, but fine. What you doing, opponent? What you doing? You know the annoying thing about building a deck built around a card and just never seeing it over 5 games? It's certainly a thing, alright. But, oh, we're playing Fires of Invention. Alright, first net deck of the day. If you don't count the last one, anyway. Which I don't think I really count the last one. It's an offshoot. Same as mine, really. Yep. Alright, Scry 3. Yeah, there's no deck in Magic that uses this card for anything other than Fires of Invention. It just makes the deck insanely consistent. Another Paradise Druid, okay. Well, the good thing about Ravager Worm is it kills a lot of their deck as far as creatures are concerned. It's going to be the Jeskai Fires, okay. No Clarion, no Clarion, no Clarion. Please no Clarion. Pretty sure it runs like 4 Clarions though, doesn't it? So I'm just asking to have my board wiped here. Yeah, shock. Oh, Bone Crusher Giant, okay. Well, we do have the opportunity for our Bone Crusher Giant into Gilded Goose, but now it just looks like we're going to be doing Paradise Druid Gilded Goose. Going from there. Maybe we can do Ilhag and then start Ravager Worming. I would really love to be able to do that. I want to show you guys why I built this deck. I don't know if that's too much to ask. A Teferi bounce would be good here. Sweet. Alright, so they won't attack because they don't want to lose their Teferi, presumably. And I want to play my Ilhag. I'm going to shock for it, so I don't have to use the Gilded Goose mana. Ilhag means I can Ravager Worm every turn. We could send a message. I think our opponent got the message when we played Ilhag, though. Don't mess with us. Alright, so Bone Crusher Giant makes me think this is not the Clarion deck. It still, by all means, could be a Clarion deck. Shimmer. And I'm pretty certain it is Fires of Invention. I haven't seen anything to suggest that it isn't so far. Or maybe we go all face. We could do Bone Crusher Giant kill Teferi. Ravager Worm fights the way through. Oh god, yeah, we've got so much to do. Alright, so we can do Nissa. Oh, this is going to be a turn. Presumably, as long as the red and white there is not anything terrible, because we can go Nissa. Untap Stomping Ground, which gives us green and red, which we can then use to stomp Teferi, killing Teferi. And then we can go Ilhag. Ilhag triggers, putting Ravager Worm into play with a counter, attacking, which then fights Bone Crusher Giant. Oh, yeah. Oh. Oh, my goodness. Ravager Worm goes back into the hand to be used next time to kill the Sphinx of Foresight. They need a full-on board wipe. Cavalier is not going to do it. That is going to be lethal, ladies and gents. Cavalier, you suck. Alright. Let's go. Nissa untaps the Rugged Highlands because we can. Ilhag runs right into my opponent, putting Ravager Worm into play, killing the Cavalier. That's 6, 9, 10, 11 damage into my opponent's 7. Get wrecked, net deck. Alright, sweet. Well, that is going to do it for today. I was actually a little bit upset that we couldn't Ilhag, but this is literally the combo I was trying to achieve, so I'm pretty happy with that. This deck's fun. It's obviously an offshoot of, like, Gruul aggro, which I'm sure most of you have seen. Like, probably too much. I don't think it's seeing too much play these days. I guess it's in, like, is it in the top tier of Mythic at the moment? I ain't sure. But, yeah, a little bit of a weird one. I really do love Ravager Worm. It's a shame it doesn't see too much play anymore, but yeah. Ilhag, sick card. Wish I could give it haste, but I don't think Rhythm of the Wild or anything like that bigger Domri is really what I want in this deck, so I just take Ilhag as it is, which is just a big thick boy who can put fight cards into play, or Drakaseths for an extra 7 points, or even Aronas. Well, something I wish I'd probably have 2 of in this deck. Again, as I mentioned in the deck text, some of the choices that are in this deck are through the lack of wanting to use wild cards. I don't want 2 Ronas. I only have 1 in my possession. I'd love another Ravager Worm, but I don't have 1. The Ronas, but I don't have 1. I think that's really about it. I think I've got pretty much everything else I could ever want. Oh yeah, maybe a 3rd Great Henge, but I don't have 1. I don't know. I think the 2 Great Henge is maybe the sweet spot. You don't want to be drawing multiples of these for sure, and yeah, once you start drawing with 1, it's usually just good enough. So yeah, I like this deck. It's a lot of fun. It's actually been doing pretty good today. It's been doing pretty good in general, I think. Doing my dailies with it's been pretty easy. I mean, it's got a lot of the stuff that you'd expect to ruffle stomp people with. Obviously, turn 3 Nissas are a thing. Spellbreaker for that kind of aggro strategy. Definitely a thing. So we've got that aggro package with the top end of Ilhag. We basically built 2 different decks and stuck them into one, which is sometimes a recipe for disaster, but with this one it seems to gel quite nicely. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments section below. Without further ado, I'm going to end it off here. Make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon to get notifications when I release new videos. But other than that, take care, guys.